I want to thank General Miller for this opportunity to speak with you this morning. General Scobie, Mr. Pennington, Chief Kelly, generals, commanders, command chiefs, civilians, and spouses, it is good to see so many leaders and significant others who provide for the common defense and ensure domestic tranquility by being this nation's sword and shield. A recent shift in our national defense strategy identified recruiting, developing, and retaining a high-quality military and civilian workforce as essential for warfighting success. The creativity and talent of the American warfighter is our greatest enduring strength, and one we should not take for granted. Today, we are professionally competing against other enterprises across corporate America. As an organizational psychologist, I've interacted with academic scholars, conducted research, and advised CEOs of several large companies around the world on how to recruit, develop, and retain employees. In the military, I was a career advisor, first sergeant, and yellow ribbon speaker interacting with more than 20,000 airmen. Through dialogue and facilitation, I discovered yellow ribbon is much more than reintegration. It is a conduit where a significant number of airmen express their organizational and personal concerns. Our airmen, regardless of rank, are just like corporate employees. They come to work bringing their hearts and hands. If we are to keep professionally competing, I recommend actively engaging our airmen hearts and hands with an organizational ability. When there is an optimum balance or close to it between investing in new technologies, which represent hands, and not only connecting but investing, which represent hearts, in employees, airmen, in some cases their families, CEOs and commanders did receive significant returns on investment, such as increased or in airman retention, less challenges in recruiting, lower operational costs, increased mission readiness, and lethality. The purpose of this presentation is not to focus on new technologies, but investing in people, which is the topic of my presentation, investing through connecting. We are already connected. The common denominator that connects us is the Air Force Reserve. An important element of Air Force Reserve is leadership. Leadership includes everyone in this room. Leadership success or failure is often determined by the connection between people. That connection, in order to pay it forward, requires some level of investment. The approach I am recommending represents one of many levels to invest after connecting with people. My message is contained in the title of the next 3 slides. Investing through connecting changes lives and attitudes. My experience with investing started with 2 letters from my squadron commander to my mother. Now, for the purpose of everybody to understand what's on these letters, I'm going to go ahead and read it. This one is dated June 28, 1985. Dear Mrs. Smith, congratulations. Your son Eric was recently presented the Air Force Achievement Medal. Eric received this award for his meritorious service while assigned to the 42nd Transportation Squadron, Loring Air Force Base, Maine, from 3 July 1984 to 9 August 1985. He was specifically recognized for his superior professional skill, dedication, and initiative in the performance of his duties. Eric's outstanding accomplishments made a very valuable impact on his unit, and he contributes significantly to its successful operation. I know Eric will be as successful in his next unit of assignment as he has been in the 42nd Transportation Squadron. Eric truly reflects credit upon you as his parent, himself, and the United States Air Force. It was a pleasure and an honor having Eric in my squadron. Sincerely, John R. Harley, Major, United States Air Force, Commander, 42nd Transportation Squadron. This next letter is dated 3 July, 1985. Dear Mrs. Smith, I am extremely pleased to inform you that your son Eric has recently been promoted to Airman First Class. As his commander, I know his devotion to duty and job knowledge as a vehicle operator dispatcher has earned him this promotion. A most important function as commander is to concern myself with your son's welfare and his career. Your son has lived up to my expectation and is a vital part of this organization. Now that he has earned a new rank, he will be given greater responsibilities and additional duties to perform. I am confident he will accept the new challenges to the best of his abilities. As you know, we are a unit of Strategic Air Command. Our primary mission of deterrence provides the greatest hope for world peace. This mission relies heavily upon our greatest asset, people. It should be most gratifying to you, as it is to me, to see your son's efforts and abilities rewarded. Sincerely, John R. Harley, Major, United States Air Force, Commander, 42nd Transportation Squadron. The date I gave everybody in this room was 1985. I did not know that these letters existed until 2011, after my mother died of colon cancer. Me and my sister went back, cleaned up the house, and I saw a small metal file cabinet. Took the key, opened it, and among her valuables, her driver's license, her jewelry, everything valuable to her were these two letters. And every letter I wrote her. And now that I can reflect on our conversations that we had in the past, and I was making a determining factor about getting out. And when I thought about getting out of the military, she would always say, son, the Air Force have good people and they care about you. And you're doing well. Now I know the basis for why she made her point. So much so, I decided to stay in the Air Force, although I had a civilian job as a provost working 60, 70 hours a week. My commander's letters showed me how much he cared about his airmen and how important my family was to him and the Air Force. I internalized it, shaping my future and paying it forward to Tech Sergeant Steger. If you've seen this picture, Tech Sergeant Steger had a contagious smile. She won the Mission Support Group NCO of the Year in 2014. And the picture that she took was her like an Olympian biting the medal. She just had that sense of humor. And I was actually a first sergeant at the 433rd Security Forces Squadron. Angela moved back to Georgia after she took a civilian job. And yet, she still drove back and forth every UTA to Texas. And I told her, I said, hey, Angela, you know that they have, units that are close to where you live. She said that I'll always want to be and stay around my family. We had a text network. And that text network, I discovered in January 2014, Text Sergeant Steve was going in and out of the hospital. I thought about visiting, and then I thought about not going to go see her because I said, well, that's a long drive, that's over 1,000 miles. Then I thought about the letter that I found from my commander when he invested in my mother. So as I told my squadron commander, I decided that I wanted to go to drive and go see her. So after ALS graduation on that Thursday, I drove to Atlanta, Georgia. And after I texted her, she was excited that I was coming. I actually spoke to her parents a couple of times. And when I got there Friday late afternoon, changed to my uniform, went upstairs, knocked on the door, she was sitting at the edge of the bed. She said, I'm so glad to see you. I said, I'm so glad to see you too. We started talking. Then my squadron commander called her, and he spoke to her for about 10, 15 minutes. Chief Robles spoke to her for about 10, 15 minutes as well. She said, my family's coming in. I said, great. And they came in, and we had a good time. She was sitting at the edge of the bed, and all her family was in there with me. And we decided to talk.
I'm going to give you the intel here.
Okay.
I think the batteries are gone.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Here we go. After we talked a while, I told Angela that I was going to end up going back to Texas. So I left that afternoon and drove back. She talked, gave me a hug, and down the road I went. I got south of Mobile, Alabama. The phone rang. It was Text Sergeant Steve's mother. She said, Sergeant Smith, I want to let you know something. Angela passed last night. And I said, do you want me to come back? She said, no. My daughter is gone, but I wanted to let you know that she passed. So I called my squadron commander and spoke with him. And we had an active part in Text Sergeant Steger's burial arrangements just as much as the family did. And I remember going back to the funeral, and my squadron commander was there, and Master Sergeant Camacho and Emma Rodriguez was up on the stage. It was more than 1,000 people there. And when the flag popped, and they folded that flag, I stood there. And after I took the flag from Sergeant Camacho, came downstairs, my commander was right there by my side. And when I kneeled down to Text Sergeant Steger's parents, and I said, on behalf of a grateful nation, Text Sergeant Steger served with honor and distinction. He looked at me. I handed him the flag. He took it, and he said, son, I know how my daughter felt about that unit. But what's more important to me is I know how that unit felt about my daughter. And he took the flag and held it because he knew that although what I said was sincere to him, the actions that the unit showed was more sincere than me speaking. And even to this day, members of the 433rd Security Forces Squadron still stay in contact would text on Stiga parents today. That was a bond and a connection formed that even death could not break. Investing through connecting changes lives, pays it forward through connecting with others. I want to let you take a picture right here. This picture was taken during the Heritage Bowl. And as you can see, General Miller's right there in the center. General Scobie is standing right there next to General Miller. And that young man on the other side of General Miller is Chief Roberts. He was the 4th senior enlisted advisor of the Air Force Reserve Command. He left in 1982 and no one heard from him. And before I go any further, the reason why this was possible is not only the people that you see in the picture, but I want to personally acknowledge Chief White, Chief Johnson, and Chief Loper by giving financial contributions on behalf of their NAFs for making this whole thing possible. He came in there, we had a great time. We gave him a gift basket. That was Chief Kelly's touch, thank you, ma'am. She said, put a gift basket in there. I'm like, ma'am, that's just going over the top. She said, no, Chief Smith, that's not an option. So I had to go do it. But it was all the little things that add up. And he came and left. I emailed him a couple of weeks later, and I got an email back. And he said, Chief and Jennifer Smith, thank you so much for thinking of us. We are doing just fine and hope you are both doing the same. I will be attending Memorial Day services on Monday in uniform. Hardly a day goes by that I don't think about the ball and what a great host you were, and I hope with all my heart that I can call you my friend without offending you. It was a most special time for me, the old Chief and Vicki Roberts. Later on that week, I got a letter mailed to my house. And this letter said, you probably feel that I'm overdoing it. My thanks to you, Chief, but this trip has reinvigorated the old soldier. He had me make 8x10s of the pictures and showing them to all our friends, and we'll take them to our family reunion in July. You were too kind to be his escort and friend while he was there. I was a little concerned, maybe a lot concerned, about his hearing. The gift basket was great and well received in the room. Your thoughtfulness is wonderful. Our kind thoughts to you and your wife, Vicki Roberts, his spouse, and dad. That's the first time they separated from each other in almost 20 years. And why I wanted to demonstrate that to you is the next quote. It sums this up. Colin Powell says this. And in the end, it's actually appropriate. It's all about the people. You know, I got to put a picture of my boss in there and his wife. They're just awesome, awesome, awesome people. But there's something to that. If I want to compare investing through connecting, would compare it to this analogy of taking a rock and throwing it into the pond. The first initial impact is what you're going to get or waves, depending on how or wide the pond is. Long after the waves or the ripples are gone, the rock stays at the bottom of the pond. That one rock will change the entire ecology of the pond. Algae will form on it, fish will swim toward it, somebody will build a home next to it. So after you invest the seeds that you plant today will grow tomorrow. In conclusion, one thoughtful commander, 2 letters, 2 22-cent stamps, and 2 envelopes set off a series of related events from one change agent that positively impacted hundreds of people. There are 3 points I highlighted in this presentation I want to leave you with. Number 1, Air Force Reserve leaders will likely get out of airmen what they invest in airmen. Number 2, family members consider themselves part of the Air Force Reserve team when their relatives join. They can be our best advocates. Number 3, investing through connections will transform lives. A few weeks ago, General Gunther and Colonel Linian did an outstanding job when they presented to General Miller at our Enterprise Manning meeting exploratory ways on retaining and recruiting our airmen. Imagine if we as a team incorporated investing through connecting as an additional approach of retaining our airmen, and it lowered the Manning loss rate by 0.5%. That is more than 200 airmen in one fiscal year. The command saved more than $14 million in operational and training costs. Some of you are probably wondering right now, what does that have to do with the picture on the screen behind me? The picture you see behind me represents a team, and it takes a team to invest into a team. Compete, deter, win does not only apply to our enemies who try to attack our country or exert their influence over other countries in the world that we call sovereign. It also applies to any organization competing for our people who are we trying to recruit or retain. Therefore, we must take steps to preserve first before we can build and shape our airmen. Investing through connecting is one of many ways to preserve or recruit our airmen. Finally, the Air Force Reserve have been around for more than 70 years, and we are still going strong because we always find ways to adapt and overcome our challenges together. Nothing can stop the United States Air Force. Nothing can stop the United States Air Force Reserve. Thank you very much.